Escape from Tarkov developers Battlestate Games are receiving one of the worst community pushbacks I've seen since, like, the Battlefront 2 microtransaction drama. Why, you ask? Well, they're selling their game for $250 now. If that already sounds like a scam to you, just know it gets a lot worse. It has been an interesting last few weeks for video game discourse. Lots of debates going on, mostly surrounding how conventionally attractive female characters should be, but also about video game pricing. Star Wars Outlaws, the cool upcoming, Star Wars game, recently announced the editions available for pre-order, with the most expensive version coming to a whopping $129.99 USD. Many fans were obviously not thrilled about the price tag, and yeah, it's a lot of money. But do you know what costs even more and has arguably less value? As of last week, Escape from Tarkov. Yes, just when we thought nothing could surprise us anymore, Tarkov devs Battlestate announced their new edition of their game called the Unheard Edition for a f***ing unheard of $250. But the price isn't the only thing rubbing fans the wrong way. For starters, it's important to know that Tarkov has always had a number of editions you can purchase. And the more expensive the edition you buy, the more in-game benefits you get, such as increased stash size, bonus items, and improved relationships with vendors. Basically, pay to win stuff. And in keeping with tradition, the Unheard Edition gives you more of this. A lot more. Now, everyone has their opinions on pay-to-win content, and it's been discussed amongst the Tarkov community for years now. And personally, I do find it a little unethical. But, I mean, if I'm paying $250 for a video game, I should be getting more than some shitty cosmetics and a couple inventory upgrades. Well, that's what brings us to problem number 2. You see, the Unheard Edition also gives players free access to all future DLCs. But more importantly, it also gives players access to the upcoming PvE mode. Why is this a big deal? Well, before Unheard was announced, Tarkov's most expensive edition was called Edge of Darkness. And while EOD didn't contain as much pay-to-win shit as Unheard does now, it still provided all future DLC for at most $150 depending on how and when you got it. But for quite some time now, fans were under the impression that the PvE mode was considered to be a future DLC, because what the f else would it be? However, with this most recent announcement, they've now indicated that the PvE mode is separate from the DLC. And late last year, they got rid of the EOD version of this game in preparation for all of this, meaning the only version left with access to any of it is $250. Obviously, this caused a massive shitstorm. Outrageous pay-to-win shit is an unfortunate reality of the modern gaming era, but locking an actual game mode behind hundreds of dollars while misleading your current customer base, that's sounding like a scam. And according to their lead community manager, none of this was a mistake. In a post to their Discord that was also confirmed by their official Twitter account, they said this: "It ain't DLC, it's a unique feature for the new edition added," which they followed up by saying, just because you all wanted to become a DLC, it wouldn't mean it is one. Then, in an attempt to pour a little bit of water on this absolute dumpster fire, Tarkov director Nikita made some clarifications in a Reddit post. One of them being that EOD owners will in fact get access to the PvE. Oh, for a 6-month trial period. Oh. Yes, fans were not too happy about that response for obvious reasons. At the end of the day, they believe they paid for this content already. But that didn't stop Nikita from tripling down in another post, and then, because why the f not, quadrupling down in a leaked conversation where he said, none of this was a mistake, and if you don't like it, kick rocks.
Answer: mistake. This is not mistake. Question: why? It's time to start preparing for the release. It's time to understand who the true believers. No one is forcing to do anything. It's your choice to just bail it. Don't buy it.
There's no way this is real.
So, yeah. At this point, it was pretty much over for the game. Community leaders and mods were leaving, Discords were practically ghost towns, and the slew of negative articles and responses were just never ending. It was a shit show, which brings us to the most recent update from Nikita. After a quick "I'm sorry you all feel this way" to the community, he announced that the PvE mode would in fact be available to all EOD owners in waves. Why in waves? Well, because their servers simply can't handle it. It was mentioned before in another post, but that's been the answer all along. Listen, video games are in fact very expensive to make. And although this is a single player / co-op mode, vendors and stashes still need to exist on their servers. Battlestate just simply can't handle the influx of every single EOD owner at once. Is $250 still too much? Is this the actual truth or just a walkback? I'll let you decide. But it's still better than literally anything that was said before. The question is, is it too little, too late? As mentioned, they absolutely f***ed their fan base, and I don't know if things will ever be the same, even though people are now getting the PvE. Instead of just being transparent, which yes, would have gotten blowback, they made the grave mistake of just simply disrespecting their audience. And might I add, this is all happening in the wake of a new extraction shooter having its closed beta to pretty solid reviews, and while Tarkov is continuing to struggle with massive cheating problems. But you want to know what the funniest part to all of this is? I think paywalling the PvE mode at all was their first mistake. If I were Battlestate Games and I could put my resources towards anything, it would be making the PvE mode free for anyone who at least buys the standard edition of the game. Easier said than done, yes, but Tarkov's biggest hurdle for prospective new players is the hardcore grind to it all. A co-op PvE mode would probably entice these casual players to finally give it a try. But for $250 or even $150, no. You know, a collector's edition of a Fallout game, but in the past that was like $130 I think at the time. And then like Hellgate London, anyone remembers that game? I bought the collector's edition of that. That was only like $90 at the time. Okay. Tarkov already was the most expensive game I've ever bought because it was $150 when I got it.